Sometimes a song finds its true voice the second time around. Throughout the 1960s, artists took songs and transformed them into something entirely new. These weren't just faithful recreations, but bold reimaginings that captured the spirit of a generation. From soulful transformations to psychedelic explosions of sound, these covers became the definitive versions that eclipsed the originals in popularity and cultural impact. Today, we're counting down the top 15 cover songs from the 60s that are more popular than the original. Number 15, Respect by Aretha Franklin. When Otis Redding wrote and recorded this song in 1965, it was a modest hit that reached number 35 on the pop charts and number 5 on the R&B chart. In Redding's version, a man pleads with his woman to show him some respect when he comes home from work. Then Aretha Franklin got hold of it in 1967, sitting at the piano with her sister Carolyn during a recording session in New York City on February 14th. The two women began reworking the song. They changed the perspective completely. Now it came from a woman's point of view, demanding respect rather than requesting it. Franklin added a bridge by sampling elements from Sam and Dave's song. She and her sisters created those now legendary background vocals, spelling out the letters and adding the call and response sections. Her version exploded onto the charts, hitting number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in June 1967. It stayed there for 2 weeks and dominated the R&B charts for 8 weeks. The song won Franklin 2 Grammy Awards in 1968 for Best Rhythm and Blues Solo Vocal Performance Female. Otis Redding himself was impressed. At the Monterey Pop Festival that summer, he playfully told the audience about the song that a girl took away from him, a friend of his. He was gracious about Franklin's success with his composition. Producer Jerry Wexler, who signed Franklin to Atlantic Records, later said the call for respect went from a request to a demand. He noted that it started off as a soul song and wound up as a kind of national anthem. The timing was indeed perfect. The civil rights movement was at its height, and the women's liberation movement was beginning to gather momentum. Number 14, All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. Bob Dylan recorded this song for his 1967 album John Wesley Harding. His version was stark and acoustic, featuring Dylan on guitar and harmonica with minimal accompaniment. It was never released as a single in the US and failed to chart. Jimi Hendrix heard Dylan's version before it was even released and fell in love with it immediately. In January 1968, less than 2 months after Dylan recorded it, Hendrix was in Olympic Studios in London working on his own interpretation. The recording sessions were intense. Hendrix cut numerous takes, constantly refining and overdubbing guitar parts. Bass player Noel Redding became so frustrated that he walked out of the studio. Traffic's Dave Mason stepped in to help, and Hendrix himself ended up playing the final bass parts. Rolling Stones multi-instrumentalist Brian Jones contributed percussion with a vibroslap for those distinctive rattles in the intro. What's most remarkable is Dylan's reaction. In 1995, Dylan said it overwhelmed him, noting that Hendrix had such talent that he could find things inside a song and vigorously develop them. Dylan admitted he took license with the song from Hendrix's version and continued to perform it that way. He even said that when he sings it, he always feels it's a tribute to Hendrix. Number 13, With a Little Help from My Friends by Joe Cocker. The Beatles recorded this for their groundbreaking 1967 album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Written specifically for Ringo Starr to sing, it was a cheerful, bouncy tune with a limited vocal range. The Beatles never released it as a single until a 1978 reissue, which only reached number 63 in the UK. Joe Cocker heard that song and saw something entirely different. In 1968, the British blues singer recorded a version that turned the Beatles' sunny optimism into a raw, soulful plea. Working with producer Denny Cordell, Cocker extended the song from under 3 minutes to over 5. He changed the time signature from 4/4 to 6/8, added an extended instrumental opening, and brought in incredible talent. Jimmy Page played guitar. B.J. Wilson from Procol Harum played drums. Female backing vocals added layers of emotion. Cocker's gritty, powerful vocals transformed the song. His version hit number 1 in the UK in November 1968. While it only reached number 68 in the US as a single, it became Cocker's signature song. Number 12. I Heard It Through the Grapevine by Marvin Gaye. Written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong in 1966, it was first recorded by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. But Motown head Berry Gordy refused to release it. Early in 1967, Marvin Gaye recorded his own brooding arrangement. But again, Gordy shelved it. Producer Whitfield, frustrated, turned to Gladys Knight and the Pips. Their up-tempo version was released in September 1967 and became a massive hit, reaching number 1 on the R&B chart and number 2 on the Hot 100. It was Motown's best-selling single to that point. But Whitfield wasn't finished. In the summer of 1968, he convinced Gordy to include Gaye's version on the album In the Groove. Radio DJS discovered it and began playing it heavily. Reluctantly, Gordy agreed to release it as a single in October 1968.
Don't you know that I heard it through the grapevine?
Gaye's version was darker, more haunting than the Pips' energetic rendition. It captured a deeper sense of betrayal and pain. Where Gladys Knight sang with urgency, Gaye delivered the song with a brooding intensity that made listeners feel the emotional weight of discovering infidelity through rumor rather than direct confrontation. The single dominated the charts, hitting number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and staying there for 7 weeks. It topped the R&B chart for 6 weeks and reached number 1 in the UK. The song became Motown's top-selling single of all time up to that point, and remained so for years. Number 11. Twist and Shout by the Beatles. This song was originally written by Phil Medley and Burt Russell, and first recorded by the Top Notes in 1961. The Isley Brothers then recorded it in 1962, reaching number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100. Their version had energy and excitement, featuring distinctive Isley Brothers vocals. The Beatles recorded their version in a single take on February 11th, 1963, at the very end of a grueling recording session for their debut album. John Lennon's voice was already raw from hours of singing. Producer George Martin knew they'd only get one take because Lennon's voice was about to give out completely. What resulted was one of the most exciting rock performances ever captured. Lennon's shredded vocal, full of raw power and barely controlled chaos, gave the song an urgency the Isley Brothers version didn't have. The Beatles version was tighter, faster, and more intense. Released in the US in March 1964, the Beatles version reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. In the UK, it hit number 4. The song became a staple of Beatles concerts and one of their most beloved recordings. It was the only million-selling Beatles single in the US that was a cover song. The performance was so intense that Lennon could barely speak after recording it. Martin later said it was one of the most remarkable vocal performances he'd ever witnessed. The song failed to hit number 1 only because the Beatles' own Can't Buy Me Love was holding the top spot. Number 10. Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds. Bob Dylan wrote and recorded this song for his 1965 album, Bringing It All Back Home. His version ran over 5 minutes and showcased his poetic lyricism and folk sensibility. It was never released as a single in the US.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me.
The Byrds heard Dylan's song and saw an opportunity. In 1965, they recorded a version that dramatically reimagined the track. They cut it down to just over 2 minutes, focusing on the most memorable verses and that unforgettable chorus. Most importantly, they electrified it, creating the folk rock sound that would define much of mid-1960s music. The jangly, ringing 12-string Rickenbacker guitar sound created by Roger McGuinn became iconic. Combined with the group's tight harmonies, the song had an entirely different feel from Dylan's acoustic original.
I'm ready to go anywhere.
The Byrds version was released in April 1965 and shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, staying there for a week. It also topped the UK charts. The single sold over 1 million copies and helped establish folk rock as a major genre. Dylan himself was impressed and, according to reports, felt the Byrds had done justice to his song. The Byrds version proved that Dylan's complex folk poetry could work in a pop format, paving the way for countless other artists to cover Dylan's songs.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, please.
Number 9. The House of the Rising Sun by The Animals. This traditional folk song had been recorded by numerous artists, including Lead Belly, Woody Guthrie, and Joan Baez. Each version told the story of a life ruined in New Orleans, though interpretations varied. The Animals learned the song from Bob Dylan, who had recorded a version on his 1962 debut album. The Animals completely rearranged it, building the song around Alan Price's haunting electric organ and Eric Burdon's powerful vocals. Their version, recorded in 1964, was dramatic and intense. The organ drove the arrangement forward while Burdon's voice conveyed genuine anguish and regret. The song built to an emotional climax that earlier versions had never achieved. At over 4 minutes long, it was a bold choice for a single. Released in June 1964, the Animals version topped the charts in the UK, US, and numerous other countries. It became a worldwide smash hit and established the Animals as one of the premier British invasion groups. The song spent 3 weeks at number 1 in the US and helped define the British blues rock sound. The recording itself has an interesting story. Producer Mickey Most captured a performance that felt both urgent and timeless. The arrangement starts quietly, building tension with that memorable organ introduction before exploding into the full band sound. The dynamics of the performance, with its rises and falls, kept listeners engaged throughout the entire 4-minute journey. The Animals arrangement became so definitive that most subsequent covers have been based on their version rather than any earlier recording. Even folk artists who later covered the song adopted elements of the Animals' electric arrangement. Bob Dylan himself reportedly loved what the Animals had done with the traditional song. The song's success was particularly remarkable because of its length at a time when 3-minute songs were standard for radio play. Radio programmers made an exception for this song because it was simply too good to ignore. The Animals version has been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame and remains one of the most recognizable recordings of the 1960s. Number 8. Go Now by the Moody Blues. Bessie Banks recorded the original version of this song in early 1964. Written by Larry Banks and Milton Bennett and produced by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, her version was a powerful soul performance. It reached number 40 on the R&B chart but didn't cross over to mainstream pop success. Denny Lane of the Moody Blues heard Banks's version and was convinced it would be perfect for his band. The Moody Blues recorded their version later in 1964, closely following the original's arrangement, but adding their distinctive British invasion sound. They kept the gospel-influenced feel but gave it a more British sensibility. Released in November 1964 in the UK, the Moody Blues version shot to number 1 on the British charts and reached Number 10 in the US in early 1965. The production featured dramatic descending piano chords, tight male harmonies, and Lane's emotionally charged vocals. The arrangement was nearly note for note based on Banks's original, which was both a compliment to her version and showed the Moody Blues good taste in recognizing a great song. Paul McCartney was so impressed when he first heard the Moody Blues version that he called the BBC to praise it and asked them to play it again. The song became the Moody Blues' biggest hit of the decade and their only number one. It launched them into international stardom, though their subsequent singles in the mid-1960s didn't match its success. Bessie Banks later recalled hearing the Moody Blues version on the radio and initially thinking it was her own recording until she realized it wasn't. While Banks's original was excellent and featured backing vocals from Cissy Houston and Dee Dee Warwick, the Moody Blues version became the one most people remember. This was the era of the British invasion, and American DJs were heavily favoring British acts. Number 7, I'm a Believer by the Monkees.
Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
Neil Diamond wrote this song and recorded a demo version in 1966. His version was never intended for commercial release as he was primarily focused on his songwriting career at the time.
I'm a believer. Not a trick.
Music supervisor Don Kirshner heard Diamond's demo after the success of Cherry Cherry and immediately wanted it for the Monkees. Diamond recorded his own album version in 1967, but the Monkees version was released first in November of 1966. The Monkees recording featured Mickey Dolenz on lead vocals and was produced by Jeff Barry. Despite being dismissed by some as a manufactured TV group, the Monkees delivered a performance that captured pure pop perfection. The production was crisp and the arrangement infectious. Released in November 1966, the song rocketed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, where it stayed for 7 weeks. It became the biggest-selling single of all time for 1967. The single sold over 10 million copies globally and topped charts in 20 countries. Diamond was thrilled rather than resentful. He later said he was still a songwriter at heart and wanted his songs on the charts. When Diamond finally released his own version in 1967, it barely charted, reaching only number 51 in 1971.
Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
Number 6, Gloria by the Shadows of Night. Van Morrison wrote this song and originally recorded it with his band Them in 1964. The original version was raw and energetic, capturing the garage rock sound emerging in the mid-1960s. It reached only number 93 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1965. The Shadows of Night, an American garage rock band from Chicago, covered the song in 1966. Their version tightened up the arrangement and gave it a more polished production while maintaining the raw energy. They also made a lyrical change in the opening that made it more radio-friendly. The Shadows of Night's version became a massive hit, reaching number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1966. It sold over 1 million copies and became the definitive version for American audiences. Their recording introduced the song to a wider audience and sparked countless other cover versions.
I'm gonna shout on that. Gloria. Gonna shout it.
While Van Morrison's original with Them is beloved by garage rock enthusiasts and music historians, the Shadows of Night's version is the one that most people heard on the radio, and that became a staple of 1960s rock. Number 5, Piece of My Heart by Big Brother and the Holding Company. Irma Franklin, Aretha's sister, recorded the original version of this song in 1967. Written by Jerry Regavoy and Burt Burns, Irma's version was a respectable R&B hit that showcased her powerful voice and reached number 62 on the pop chart. When Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company recorded their version in 1968, they transformed it into a rock anthem. Joplin's raw, emotional delivery brought a level of pain and passion that the original couldn't match. Her voice, rough and pleading, made listeners believe every word. Released on the album Cheap Thrills in 1968, the song became one of Joplin's signature tracks. The single reached number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the album itself topped the charts for 8 weeks. Joplin's live performances of the song became legendary. She threw her entire being into every performance, and audiences responded with wild enthusiasm. While Irma Franklin's original was good, Joplin's version became the definitive recording and one of the most powerful vocal performances in rock history. Number 4, Light My Fire by Jose Feliciano.
Come on, baby, light my fire on the midnight special.
The Doors released this as a single in 1967, and it became one of their biggest hits, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Jim Morrison's vocals and Ray Manzarek's distinctive organ work made it an unforgettable classic rock staple. Puerto Rican guitarist Jose Feliciano heard the song and created something completely different. His 1968 version stripped away the rock elements and reimagined it as a Latin-influenced acoustic piece. Feliciano's classical guitar work and softer vocal interpretation gave the song an entirely different mood. Released in the summer of 1968, Feliciano's version reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, nearly matching the success of the original. His version won a Grammy Award for Best Pop Song and Best New Artist, and introduced the song to audiences who might never have listened to The Doors.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Whoa, mama.
Both versions are now considered classics in their own right, but Feliciano's version proved that a great song could be completely reimagined while maintaining its essential appeal. His version remains a staple of easy listening radio.
Come on, baby, light my fire on the midnight special.
Number 3, Louie, Louie by the Kingsmen. This song was originally written and recorded by Richard Berry in 1957. Berry's version had a Latin feel and was performed in an R&B style. It sold modestly but didn't make much impact on the charts. The Kingsmen, a garage rock band from Portland, Oregon, recorded their version in 1963 in a single session that cost about $50. The recording was famously murky, with lead singer Jack Ely's vocals nearly unintelligible. This led to rumors about dirty lyrics and even an FBI investigation. The Kingsmen's version was released in 1963 and slowly climbed the charts, eventually reaching number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in December. It became one of the most iconic garage rock recordings ever made and has been covered by over 1,000 different artists. The song's incomprehensible lyrics actually helped its popularity. Teenagers loved that adults couldn't understand what was being sung, even though the actual lyrics were completely innocent. The controversy only fueled sales. Richard Berry's original is now mostly forgotten except by music historians, while the Kingsmen's version became one of the most influential rock songs of the 1960s. Number 2, Baby, Please Don't Go by Them. This traditional blues song had been recorded by numerous artists since Big Joe Williams recorded it in the 1930s. Various blues artists, including Muddy Waters, had their own versions throughout the years. When Van Morrison and Them recorded their version in 1964, they transformed the traditional blues into a raw, energetic rock song. Their version featured Morrison's powerful vocals and a driving rhythm that made it perfect for the emerging rock scene. Released in 1964, Them's version reached number 10 on the UK charts and became a defining song of the British R&B movement. While it didn't chart as high in the US, it became hugely influential among garage rock bands and is now considered the definitive rock version of this traditional song. Number 1, Summertime Blues by Blue Cheer,
summertime blues.
Eddie Cochran wrote and recorded this rock and roll classic in 1958, and it reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. His version was energetic rockabilly that captured teenage frustration perfectly.
There ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
Blue Cheer, a San Francisco power trio, recorded their version in 1968 and turned it into something completely different. They took Cochran's rockabilly tune and transformed it into heavy, distorted proto-metal. Their version was louder, heavier, and more aggressive than anything that had come before. Released in 1968, Blue Cheer's version reached number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that Cochran's song could work in a much heavier style. Their cover is now considered one of the first heavy metal recordings and influenced countless hard rock and metal bands. While Cochran's original remains a classic, Blue Cheer's version showed a new generation what rock music could become.
Lord, there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
These 15 covers prove that sometimes a song needs to find the right voice to reach its full potential. The 1960s were a unique time when artists felt free to completely reimagine existing songs, taking them in bold, new directions. These covers didn't just copy the originals, they transformed them, giving them new life and new meaning. From Aretha Franklin's feminist anthem to Jimi Hendrix's psychedelic masterpiece, from Joe Cocker's soulful plea to the Kingsmen's garage rock classic, these covers became the versions we remember. They topped charts, won awards, and became the soundtracks to people's lives. The artists who created these covers understood something fundamental. A great song is more than just notes and words on a page. It's about interpretation, emotion, and connection. These musicians took songs they loved and made them their own, creating versions that resonated with audiences in ways the originals sometimes couldn't. If you enjoyed this journey through the greatest cover songs of the 1960s, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more music history content. Thanks for watching.